are standing right there in the front line for our residents. They're risking their life. They deserve their respect and they deserve their protect. We need to protect them from getting into the lawsuit when the arrest goes wrong. And we also need to protect all these police officers by supporting the legal help when they get into a problem. And we need to get to help our police officers to get more recruitment for sure. And besides that, yes, so I would say more funding for the police, more recruitment for the police, and also being the bridge with the computer pay patrol. That would be the best idea.
Well, thank you for supporting the police. I appreciate that. The people who I know that are still working appreciate that. I feel perfectly safe, but I know my children do not. I know my wife does not. I know more times than not, she gives my daughter a ride to Brooklyn Tech because she doesn't want her on the subway. And if she's coming home late, she gets to Uber home. So yeah, we know there's a problem. We know there's a problem in the streets and the subways that people do not feel safe. We can hire more police officers, but that's not the problem. The problem is the police officers by this previous city council and the present city council, they have defunded, they have demoralized, and they have demonized our police officers. They have cut them off at the knees, and they've done this with the full support of rogue district attorneys like Alvin Bragg and Eric Gonzalez. Okay, all of the things, thank you, all of the things that we used to arrest people for and go full at, charge them and try them and prosecute them for, they've pulled back. They pulled back. The police officers are trying to do their job. We address quality of life conditions. My friend Richie over there, Richie Barcini, give him a hand. He did over 20 years in the police department. We work together in plainclothes. We address all of these conditions. And guess what? They don't have the kind of stuff that we did. They don't have that now, and that's what the problem is. You got to bring that back. Thank you.
The proliferation of illegal cannabis shops in New York City, and there are 1,500 of them citywide according to Mayor Adams, is invading family-friendly neighborhoods. Some of these illegal operations are blatantly located near schools and churches, and they sell to anybody, including kids. What solutions do you propose to rein in on these cannabis stores that are operating illegally? Vito, you go first.
So the problem is that the progressive state, senate, and assembly, they messed up this whole rollout of marijuana legalization worse than any place except maybe California. They did it so poorly that they took away any enforcement action from our police officers. The only people now who can enforce these policies are the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office, you said there was 1,500, there are a heck of a lot fewer sheriff's deputies than there are police officers. So by the time they get to all these things, it may take a year. Okay, so the state legislature needs to change the law, and we need to find something that we can do in the interim. And I don't know, I'm spitballing here, but I'd like to maybe try to see if we can enlist the federal government, if they would be willing, to enforce the federal marijuana statutes in some of these illegal locations. As everybody knows, marijuana is not legal federally. That's why they have to do cash business. That's why these cash businesses draw more crime, because now, guess what? People know there's thousands of dollars in that store, so it's a target for robbery and further violence. Maybe Nicole Malatiakis can work with our agencies, and maybe we can start shutting these down and charge them federally. I don't know if it's possible, but I'll think outside the box to try to get things done.
So thank you for mentioning that we have 1,500 illegal weed stores right here in New York City. Actually, we have like only 4 legal in New York City, and 0 of them is in Brooklyn. However, when you walk down the block, when you go to the deli, when you go to the supermarket, you can easily find the weed candy. They look like the regular candy that's being sold in the store. And this is very dangerous because as a parent, I have a huge concern if my kid accidentally taking all these candies. And if I have to go into control this, I would say that we have to make them under certain regulations. Because right now, these business owners, they're not running under the legal weed regulation, but the regular business license. So it's very hard to trigger them whether they are selling the weed or just the regular candy, because right now we don't have those specific identified about how the candy category belong to. And we have to make sure that they don't sell all this candy to the underage children. That is for sure. And once they violate all these rules, we must take away their license forever. So this will avoid them, and that penalize we make them not to sell all this weed candy in the stores. Thank you.
Congestion pricing. Brooklyn's Bay Parkway or 8th Avenue is just as congested as Manhattan's Chinatown. The city may one day decide to implement congestion pricing to Brooklyn's Chinatown and surrounding areas. If this happens, do you support this congestion pricing plan? Why or why not? In, you'll go first, and then Vito.
Okay, first of all, I'm not support that idea because it doesn't make any sense for our residents from traveling from one bar to another bar and paying like $25 for that trip. It doesn't make any sense. And it also hurt the economics. It eliminates the people get into the city and come forth from city to Brooklyn. The main reason why they proposed this idea because they want to reduce the traffic and they reduce the pollution in New York City. However, for someone who wants to get away to paying all these congestion prices, he might just drive away farther for someone else and get back to Brooklyn or Manhattan. This doesn't make any sense. Just like you driving a car more hours, more mileage, and just avoid the pain. However, is this not a solution? It creates more pollution for our environment. So I would say that no. And also, I would say that this is not a correct way to doing all these rules to our residents. Instead of putting all the congestion prices to eliminate the people getting to the city to help this small business, I would say that you should not do that. Yeah.
So I believe this was tried in London. I was trying to figure out and Google it, and it repealed, right? It didn't work. So we know that this is a cash grab by the city and the state, and they're feeding it allegedly to the MTA. I'd like to know where all the money that the MTA currently has, where is that going? Because that's really the first thing we need to do, is audit the MTA and make sure that they are using the funds that they do get in a fiduciarily responsible way. So that's number one. Number two is, you're exactly right. First they're doing it in Manhattan, then maybe they'll do it in central Brooklyn or downtown Brooklyn, and they'll do it everywhere. The real thing is they're trying to cancel the car culture. They want to make owning a car so onerous that nobody does it, which really goes against, look, I have a car, I like cars. People who don't need cars, if you live in Manhattan, maybe you don't need a car. But you know what, when I took my mom to Manhattan for a doctor, I wasn't putting her in a baby Bjorn and getting in there with a bicycle. Okay, that's not possible. We need to have our cars. We have a right to have our cars. And these people who want to destroy us with red light cameras and speed cameras and all these other onerous regulations, we have to push back on it all. Thank you.
I know, we're coming to an end. This is the second to the last question. New Yorkers are leaving the city at unprecedented levels, mainly due to high crime, struggling schools, high taxes, and unaffordable housing. What would you do to slow down this exodus and keep them living in the city to stabilize the tax base? Vito, you go first.
So, we've discussed it all night, right? It's public safety is number one, good schools, number two, pro-business reforms, number three. Why are people leaving? We have families leaving because they don't feel safe. We have people leaving because their kids have to go into a lottery to get into a halfway decent school. That's what's making people flee to Long Island, to New Jersey, to Westchester. That's the reason. And the city council doesn't care. They should have focus groups deciding, asking why these people are leaving. They should be doing research, but they don't. They don't care that people are leaving. Thank you.
Do you mind repeating the question again? I'm so sorry.
Sure. New Yorkers are leaving the city at unprecedented levels, mainly due to high crime, struggling schools, high taxes, and unaffordable housing. What would you do to slow down this exodus and keep them living in the city to stabilize the tax base?
Okay, when you talk about the quality of life, mostly is public safety, quality education, and also services for our senior citizens and small business owners. I have a friend from living in Queens. She only left New York City because she said she has a huge concern about the safety right here. So in order to improve the quality of life, we have to bring back a safer street. We have to make sure people feel safe to go onto the street and to get onto the subway station. And we have to make sure that every children have the equality of education right. And mostly, I have been doing the senior social service for the last 7 years. The